Really, I am just going to give a quick rundown of what this platform is about and what problem we are trying to solve here. So first of all, let me just talk a little bit about warehouse management. In general, in a warehouse, this is just picture. These are pictures of warehouse layout plan that I'm just showing here. When you go into a warehouse, you find a storage area, a staging area, packaging area, shipping. It depends on the configuration of the business. Sometimes if it's a manufacturing company, then you might have some production area with additional shelves and so on. And in a lot of ERP or warehouse management software, you need to model the structure of your locations, okay, within the ERP software in order to add inventory to them, right? So you want to know if product X is on shelf one and so on, or if it is in quarantine or staging area, or if it is still in receiving, for instance, right? And that entire process is can be very tedious and it's very manual. Those locations you have to manually create them. The product catalog, you have to manage the product catalog, create them, update them, discontinue some, and so on. And it's a very tedious process. And what Swilly is trying to do is it's trying to automate this process using agentic workflow so that we don't necessarily have to go through this manual process all the time. And just to give a quick rundown, I'm just gonna go ahead and create, let's say, a location using the manual way or the old way of doing it. All right, so we're just gonna click on create location. We have the option of creating just a single location, but let's go ahead and try to create a multiple one. So we're gonna give this location a label. We can call it WH for warehouse. We can call it maybe 666. And then the type of it, we can give it facility. And then the name, we can give it, let's say, Lamar fish processing, right? And then the parent is none because it's the warehouse that hold all the sub location, right? Shelves, zones, and so on, right? And then we can go ahead and add two zones, for instance. We can call zone 666, zone, or is it zone? And then we can call this zone quarantine. And then the parent is, of course, the Lamar fishing location. And then we can create another zone, zone 77. And then we're just going to give it, we are going to give this, make it another zone. And then we can call it receiving. Actually, let's just call it production. Right. And then it's inside of Lamar. And we can preview the tree, as you can see here. We can even add more, right? So we could add things like shelves, so shelf dash Lamar dash maybe 001. And then this is a shelf. And then the parent is going to be the quarantine zone, just as an example, right? And this is modeling actually all the location, inside of your warehouse. We could go all the way to the level of bin, for instance, right? So we can do bin dash Lamar dash 009, and then it's going to be a bin, and we will put that inside of the shelf. And then we give it a name. Shelf 120. Right? So we have a processing facility, we have a quarantine zone, and then we have a shelf inside of the quarantine zone, and now we have bin, and we can even add more bins, racks, and so on. So we can model our warehouse or the receiving area or put away area inside of our facility like that. And this process alone already, it's manual. And in the age of AI, especially, why can we not automate that process, right? Why can we not make it in such a way that it can be, this can be created automatically rather than having to deal with all that, right? So let me go ahead and create this location. We can send the labels to Studio to print out, but for now, I'm just going to skip that. And if you come here, we have our Lamar fishing facility, right? We can view the detail of that. We can see the barcodes and so on. We can make some modification to it if we wanted to. We can print the label for that, right? And this is a manual way of doing it. Now I'm just gonna go inside of the agent and see how we can do that using some form of agentic workflow. And to do so, let me just create a quick prompt. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go inside of Dex. Here, it's just an example. And I can say, hey Dex, I can choose an action. So let's pick manage locations, right? So, and then I can just say, hey Dex, I want to create a warehouse location. The name of the warehouse is Beaumont Processing Facility. Okay. Inside of it, please create, for instance, 2 zones. A staging zone and a processing zone. In each zone, please create 2 shelves. Give it to Dex. And Dex is now processing those locations, and hopefully it's gonna just bulk create this for us, right? So Dex has created the location for us, right? We can modify some of the label if we don't like how it look like, right? We can modify those. We can even add additional row directly from here, but there is no need for that now. We can preview the tree just like we were able to do it manually. We can actually do that directly within the Dex agent, right? And then we can go ahead and click on create locations, and 7 locations added successfully. They are now available in your location tree. So we can go back to location, and lo and behold, we have the Beaumont Processing Facility, right? And we can print the labels and do the same process. Now, this is just for, bin locations and put away area, so on management, right? You can deactivate, and you could do all of that just within the Dex agent right here. But what if you wanted to manage the catalog of your products, right? Import new product that you bought from a new vendors with a different spreadsheet, models, different color name, and so on. And this is usually, it gives a lot of headache to business owner, even within Shopify. And for an example, let me just go ahead and show Shopify catalog management feature. So this is a Shopify. It's a dev store. If you want to add a new product, you can create those manually. You have to upload the pictures and so on, and it's a very tedious and manual process, right? Or you could do an import, but Shopify doesn't necessarily have all of the import, right? So sometimes, if I see very well, upload a Shopify format, no, not here. So if I do more action, no, I think it's the wrong location. So you could use this app, but sometimes the models are different. You still have to manipulate your Excel sheets and so on in order to import your products and the pictures and recreate your catalogs, update your catalogs, delete certain product and so on. And that process in itself is very time consuming. And what if we could just automate that, for instance, right? So what I've done is I have created this fake Shopify store. This is the fake Shopify store. You can just come here, online store. Let's see it. Taking a little bit of time. Let's click on view store. So it's a fake Shopify store, and I've exported the entire catalog, and I just want to demonstrate how faster it is to use the Dex agent to actually import the catalogs into your inventory system. And there is, of course, an integration with Shopify so that there is a synchronization between the inventory system and your Shopify store. But I'm using this for the sake of demonstration just to show how easily you could use any Excel form from any vendors, and upload products within, import product within your inventory system and sync it with your online store like Shopify, Squarespace, and so on, rather than having to manually do that. All right, so I'm just gonna go and click on Shopify import here. And then I think I should have something within download, product export. This is it right here. And I'm just going to tell Dex, create these Shopify products for me. And please write a hilarious product description for each of them. Infer the category of the products. And before we create that, we send it to Dex. I'm just gonna show, like, this is the CSV here that Shopify usually give you when you do a manual export. And then, depending on what inventory software you use in store or inside of your facility, you kind of have to modify those to adapt it for your context, or you have to use third-party tool, pay separately to do so. Okay, but with Dex, you don't have to do that. Just gonna send it, and then we wait. Dex has started working on that. It's gonna take probably about 30 seconds, but it's better than having to create your catalog manually spend 2 hours manually creating catalogs, writing descriptions, updating them. But with Dex, within under 1 minute or so, you are able to create multiple products in a single shot, right? All right. So now Dex is working on it, and it has created all the products from that file you imported, and that works for any kind of potential e-commerce platforms or vendors that are provided it to you for your products. Be it it's a CSV, XLS, and so on. It works, and these are very interactive UI. You can take a look at the images. You can modify it if there is need. You can, add additional variant if you wanted to. You can modify the descriptions, and Dex has taken care of writing the description, in a hilarious way, like I ask it to surf the slope with the collection snowboard liquid. It glides smoother than dolphin and roller skates, right? So you can modify those if you want to, but there is no need. And before I go ahead and create that, let's just let me make sure I delete the excess because I created one earlier here. Just gonna go ahead and delete it. There is still inventory at this location. Okay, all right, so that is fine. Okay, there is still inventory at this location, so we cannot remove it. All right. Let me just add a quick query. So let's go back to Dex. And then from here, we can create those 70 products. All right. So it's gonna fail to create one single, I believe, because that one already exists. But you can see that your product had been created, right? Product is created, and now let's go to product here. If we scroll down, we can see those products. They have been created. You can see the detail. You can see the description we ask Dex to write for us. This premium snowboard is so super duper awesome, right? So you can see the media. There are variants, but they didn't have pictures. So of course you cannot see them here, but you can alternative add those pictures for the variant if you wanted to. And then of course, you can see a history of inventory you receive against the product as well. And just as an example, let me show the example of this polo. You see variants and then the entire history, the movement, it provides better traceability for you to know when you receive stock, who received it, what was the source, what type of operation was it? Was it a transfer? Was it an order? So it provides better traceability. Now, this is just beyond, this is just product catalog management and location that I've demonstrated, but there are more features coming up, like syncing your code request from your email directly to the agent so that he can process it. And then you just act like an approver. You can just come in Dex, get a notification for the quotes, check your inbox within the Suite applications, and then you can just go ahead and update, approve your quotes, for instance, directly, which saves you a lot of time because the agent is context aware. It knows exactly what type of product you have in stock. So it constructs a quote for you based on that, and you don't have to do that manually. And same for creating purchase orders and so on. I think that's just a quick demo I wanted to run.